Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'll be doing something very important, and this is about how to nail your exams in only 15 steps. Now I'm pretty sure that these steps aren't easily transmitted into your daily routine and schedule, but what I know is that I wish I had someone to tell me this when I was your age. So I am a lecturer of the Leaving Cert as well as an ex-student who has already done them, so I know what do you need to do to get this done perfectly. This might not be the whole package of the information. Of course, everybody has to study and work hard to get a good grade, but overall, these are 15 steps that will, for sure, I guarantee it, help you get a better grade if you do it. So, the first thing, guys, now I know that a lot of people, your own teachers, my teachers used to tell me cramming isn't a great idea. Yes, I agree with that. Cramming should be avoided at all times in case you want to have a good grade. But let me tell you one thing. Some people got to cram in my days, and even students that I taught got to cram and ended up getting, I don't know, an H3 or an H2 if they're lucky. So what I'm trying to say is that even though cramming is not a good idea and I don't support it, what I'm trying to tell you is that sometimes it works. So you are better off cramming than not doing anything. So don't take it as an excuse as trying to say that, listen, I didn't study, so my teachers told me not to cram, henceforth I'm not going to. Number 2, during your Leaving Cert period, avoid heavily drinking and heavily partying. I know that it's tempting on Fridays and Saturdays to go out and party, especially for a lot of international students who do the Leaving Cert and go abroad to Ireland or to Malta or any country supporting the Leaving Cert. I highly advise you not to do that the night before the exam, and the reasons are very simple as well as straightforward. If you are hungover, you will do worse, of course. Number 3. Go out for sanity during the term of the Leaving Cert exams. It is absolutely ridiculous that you imprison yourself, and yes, I'm using the term imprison, during the Leaving Cert weeks at home, only studying, not doing anything. Guys, go out, have a walk, have 2 hours a day, even when the next day is a higher level math exam. Go out, have a walk, sit at a coffee shop, even alone if let be, or with a friend, go to the beach, do something for 2 hours a day that will keep your sanity intact. You need that to do better. In the long term, it gets you better scores. Number 4, never self-doubt your answers or maybe yourself before the exam. That makes you anxious and makes you overthink and ruins your next exams. So what I'm trying to say is, once you get in there and answer, stop worrying about what you answered and let it be, let the, game be in your favor. So let gods decide what you will get, or let whatever, do not go and start Googling stuff about what you've done, why you've done it that way, asking your friends what they've done. A simple question, how did you do? I did great, is enough. Do not question what you've done. Completely forget the exam once you leave. I know this is very hard to follow, but I'm telling you, it is really good for your next upcoming exams and for your sanity in general. Number 5, if you are doing an exam, well, of course you are doing a math and an English exam because they're mandatory and cannot drop them, make sure to do great or even respectfully good on paper 1. The reasoning behind this is a lot of students I know, when they did okay on papers 1 of math or English, they would lose motivation to study for their paper 2 or to even review, because they would know already, listen guys, I failed anyway, so why the hell should I even study for paper 2? So this phrase or sentence, you will hear it a lot by a lot of your friends, and maybe even you've said this yourself before. So to avoid this mentality, try to nail paper 1 more than paper 2. What I'm trying to say is, prepare yourselves for paper 1 to do good, so then you have the fuel and motivation to work hard for paper 2 as well. Because if you screw up paper 1, a lot of students lose motivation to continue studying for paper 2 or to even review, or they sometimes even skip the exam. Yes, they do that. Number 6, A lot of people question and ask me if the mocks are easier than the Leaving Cert, or which one is easier, or why are the mocks harder than the Leaving Cert, or are the Leaving Certs harder? All these questions about the difficulty. Let me make this straight forward once and for all. Now, the mock exams are only merely training for you to nail the Leaving Cert. What I'm trying to say is there are two companies at least that are creating the mock exams, all right? There's Examcraft and there are DEBs. Those are the ones that I know of. So, DEBs are known to have the hardest form, all right? The Examcraft is the average ILC level exam. So if you got a DEB exam in the mocks, you certainly have a harder mode of the exam than if you got an Examcraft. Now, technically, yes, the mocks, if you're facing a DEB mock exam, is generally harder than Examcraft. However, in case you're having an Examcraft exam, then it's exactly the same as a Leaving Cert. Do not overwhelm yourself with what those terms really are, but know that generally, yes, mocks are slightly tougher than a Leaving Cert, but it's not a rule that every mock exam is tougher than the Leaving Cert. There were some years that the mock exams were easier than the Leaving Cert. You should know that. 7. Know your calculators. Guys, physics, math, applied math, and all the other subjects that require a calculator, you gotta know them and how they function. Do not buy a calculator one day before the exam, not use it at all, and then go sit for the exam. I guarantee you that it won't be fun. A lot of calculators need to be programmed in a certain manner prior to being used by students for the Leaving Cert or any form of exam. There are certain steps that you need to do with the calculator. Again, something very important, make sure that the calculator you buy is not a forbidden calculator. Notice, in every exam that you use the calculator, or any calculator, you'll have to write the type of the calculator on the exam paper. There is a reason behind this. The examiners check the type of calculator that you use, and they try to see if this calculator is actually prohibited from, or like on the list of prohibited calculators or not. The reasoning behind this is a lot of calculators enable you to save answers and formulas and a lot of forbidden things. This is why they do that. Do not also try to cheat your way out because you'll get caught. Number 8. When the examiners say it's time or time's up, make sure to abide by the rules. No matter what happens, you need to submit your exam right when the examiner says the time is up. In some instances, historically, examiners or supervisors refuse to take or accept you handing in the exams late upon them calling time. They usually wait for 5 to 10 seconds, and if they continue to see you writing, they might not say anything, so the possibilities are that they might not say anything and take it and you'll be fine. They might take it, not tell you anything, and then you'll find out that you lost so many points and you wouldn't know why. It's probably because you took more time than you should have, or more time than you're given, or they might just tell you, hey, listen, we're not taking this exam anymore, and they will just tell you to keep it with you, so you'll get to fail the year. So to avoid all this hassle, make sure to submit your exam on time, even if you have a slightest tiniest bit of the question left out. Number 9, be very careful with past papers. Now, a lot of people say studying only from the past papers is enough. Now, I guarantee you that past papers are a very good source of studying and they are very reliable. However, in case you guys plan only to rely on past papers, that won't get you so far. You may be able to pass your exams, but you're certainly not going to get an H1 or H2 or 3, as a matter of fact, unless you're lucky, of course. Now, my advice is, for when it comes to studying, yes, do review from mocks and ILCs, past papers, but also rely heavily on the books themselves, guys. This is the main source. Number 10. Wear comfortable clothes during your exams. So make sure that you do not go maybe the way I'm dressed, in a shirt and, I don't know, jeans, or like maybe wear sweatpants or something that avoid tight clothes, avoid shoes that make you uncomfortable. All right, I'm not saying go in flip-flops and shorts, but I'm just saying go in some sort of baggy clothes to keep you comfortable and to reduce your anxiety. This is from self-experience. Number 11, bring extra tools, and by this I'm saying have an extra 3 to 4 pens with you. I'm not exaggerating, but there were so many times where students ran out of ink or just lost their pens on the way, or something happened that they couldn't write the exam anymore. Some supervisors during the exam refuse to allow you to borrow anything, and this is, by the way, the rule. So make sure that you have, or that you're stacked up with tools, whether it is a compass, rulers, pens, papers, whatever it is you're doing. Number 12, I know that a lot of students have brought in, and still do that, they bring in a lot of, let's say, coffee or Red Bull or any drink or some sort of, or water during their exam. That is okay, but always leave those liquids under the table or literally on the floor next to you. The reasoning behind this is if you spill any of these liquids on your exam paper and you get it ruined, especially at the end of the exam or somehow to the middle, you will lose time trying to re-answer everything, and anxiety will take over and you will end up failing the year. To avoid all this hassle, put that liquid on the floor. Number 13, know and do not change your mind about the higher or ordinary level, whatever it is you're doing. So in case you made up your mind last night that you cannot do higher and you're dropping to ordinary, that's fine, but there's something that you need to know. Once you get the ordinary exam paper during the exam time, you can no longer change back to higher. Once the examiner or the supervisor provides you with the exam paper, it is all over. This is all what you have. So be sure to know what a level of exam you're going to do. My best advice for you is to always know this in advance and not to think of it minutes before the exam. Are you ready for higher or you're not? If you're not, then go for ordinary. If you want to risk it, that's fine, risk it, but do not hassle with the thoughts of switching back and forth between higher and ordinary. Yes, if you registered your exam as higher, you can always change it to ordinary or vice versa during the exam. There's no problem of what you already registered during your school studies and before you actually went to the Leaving Cert exams. Number 14, read the question carefully. A lot of you skip right to the answer because they read half the question and think that they know what the answer is, so they avoid reading the next part of the question thinking that they already know what it means. Let me tell you that this is one of the most significant issues that students have. You need to properly read the question even twice or 3 times. It's not waste of time, because a lot of people lose points and make terrible mistakes pretend or thinking that a certain question is asked in a certain manner while it isn't. So you need to be very careful reading the questions, because questions always change and there's no possible way that you've seen this question before, because they always bring new questions. I agree that the questions are repetitive sometimes, but they're always rephrased, and you will not see an exact question copied from one exam in your Leaving Cert, because that's not how things work. Number 15, and maybe one of the most important points and tips out there, never leave the answer blank. So even if you write something that is completely wrong and irrelevant to the topic, I'm not saying go bananas on this one, but I'm saying if you write something that's partially wrong, or that it is an attempt or something, you might get some points for it and end up passing the exam rather than failing it. Examiners usually look for points to give you a better grade. So if, for instance, if you have a 40 or a 39 out of 100, the examiner will try to find a 1% anywhere on your exam paper to give you that 40 passing H7 or 07, all right, or whatever it is that you're doing. But if you leave it blank, then the examiner might never be able to find any extra points, which will result in you failing. So always fill up that answer, even if you're not sure. Do not leave it blank. You might be lucky and you might get it right. So always try your best and fill up that paper, guys. Anyway, guys, this is it for today. I hope you guys benefited from this 15 tips on how to nail your exams and how to behave during the Leaving Cert period. Stay tuned, and if you have any questions, please let me know or drop them down in the comments below. Thank you very much and see you next time.